everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, welcome back to another episode of Debunking Anti Gunners. And I know what y'all are thinking. Man, this guy's been dropping a ton of Debunking Anti Gunner videos. I mean, if they're going to keep going and keep saying dumb stuff, I'm going to keep making content for y'all. They keep giving me reasons to make content, making fun of them, debunking what they're saying. So, yeah, I'm going to keep making the content for y'all. So, let's get right into it. On this episode of Debunking Anti Gunners, hold up. Okay, just wanted to make sure the microphone was working. On this episode of Debunking Anti Gunners, if gun control can prevent just one shooting, then it's worth it. I have a couple of problems with that argument. So I'm going to get into, in a good minute, I'm going to get into the fact that there is no justification for taking somebody's rights to defend themselves, their families, whatever. There's no justification for taking anybody's rights away, ever, realistically speaking. But I'm going to get into that in a minute. What I'm going to get into first is the moral dilemma, I guess you could say, that these anti-gunners don't ever seem to actually understand when it comes to firearm-related crime, firearm deaths, and this is what they're going to be like so pissed off at me about. Truth of the matter is that people who are pro-Second Amendment are also against gun crime. Why is that? There's several reasons. One, it makes us who are actually responsible with our firearms look bad. Two, we don't believe anybody needs to go ahead and get attacked, robbed, whatever, killed with a firearm for no reason. Like, criminals doing crime has been around forever, pretty much. That's the best way I can say it. Now, where the moral dilemma comes in is, let's say it does prevent a shooting, right? Let's say we do implement a strict form of gun control that does prevent a shooting. One, you wouldn't really know about it. Why is that? Because if it prevented the entire situation from taking place ever, there would be nothing for you to look into. Therefore, you would have no clue. That's one. Two, this is the part that I genuinely, it makes my, I guess it grinds my gears is the best way you can say it. If you guys seen that episode of Family Guy, I love that episode. You know what grinds my gears? But, sorry, that was a bad Peter impression. I'm not good at that one. But it grinds my gears because it makes me feel like these anti-gunners believe they have a level of moral superiority to us, or that they have the moral high ground to try to argue that if gun control can just prevent just one shooting, that it's worth it. Let's say it does prevent this shooting that, would take 50 lives, right? That's a pretty high number for a mass shooting. Now, stops that one shooting, that's 50 lives saved, right? How many situations where people aren't going to be able to defend themselves and will end up losing their lives now because they no longer are able to have the right tool to protect themselves? How many people? Because I can guarantee you in, 3 months' time at most, the number will be more than 50. I can guarantee it. That's the truth of the matter here. Whether people want to admit it or not, that is the truth. And that's where I kind of get upset, because who the hell are they to suggest that 50 people are more important than an indefinite number of people, like a undefined number that pretty much is guaranteed to be higher than 50. So where do they draw the line, in my opinion, that these 50 people's lives, for example, once again, are more important than, say, 25,000 that could be, their lives could have been preserved and protected if they had firearms, the right tool to protect themselves with? I mean, the whole argument that if it prevents just one shooting, it's worth it, completely negates itself, because it tries to make the argument that, oh yeah, well, if it prevents one shooting, it saved lives, that's an inherent good. But in the end, it can save lives in 1 second and be the reason why a ton of more people lose their lives the next second as well. Like, you see what I mean here? The whole argument that preventing just one shooting makes it worth it, it doesn't hold. It doesn't hold due to the fact that, you don't have an idea of the amount of people who defend themselves every year with firearms alone. It is an extremely large number. It is a number that I can guarantee you would put however many lives you believe would be saved from preventing just one shooting, I can guarantee you it is much higher than whatever number you think of lives would have been saved. I can guarantee it to you. Now, that's just the aspect of the dilemma of these anti-gunners thinking they have a moral high ground or the moral superiority over us, when in all reality, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, before I get off that topic and move on to how there's no justification for taking our rights, I wanna point this out to you guys and leave you with this thought, right? So there is, you know, there's a problem that people are often asked, you know, or a question, you know, to see whether or not, or I guess just how they think, right? If if you're on a train track, right, and you know, train track's going down, it splits off two different ways. On this part of the train track, there are 5 people tied up. You don't know these people, but they are 5 people. And on this track, your best friend is tied up there. There are other other variations of it, but that's the variation I was always taught. Your best friend is tied up to the other one. Are you going to sit there and pull that lever that would save your best friend's life and have these 5 people killed, or are you going to leave the lever how it is? Because at the moment, you see that the train is going to go over your best friend. So in the end, they're making the argument that, hey, I should make the train go over these 5 other people. And while, look, guys, I understand the aspect of, hey, I still want to save a life. I understand that there is there are, you know, lesser of two evils, I guess you could say, in a situation like that. And it's genuinely funny to me because they make the argument that, oh, well, if it can just prevent this one shooting, so you're saying you'd rather just have it go kill the other 5 people and instead of your one instead of your one right there. It's a dilemma that most people don't seem to understand, but I often relate to how these anti-gunners make the argument of, oh, well, if it just prevents one shooting, even if it does prevent one shooting, it's preventing 100 self-defense situations as well. It's preventing so many more lives that could have been preserved than that one shooting being prevented saved. Moving on from that, though, because I'm not going to sit here and reopen that can of worms. I want to get into how there is no justification for taking our rights away, first off. Because now that I've gone over just the numeric and statistical aspect of it, of, okay, if it saves this many lives, it's also putting this many lives at risk too, so it's not really doing anything good here. Even though I've gotten past that, let's talk about the actual ethical aspect of whether there's a justification for taking somebody's rights away, which there isn't. Sorry, but that's the truth of the matter here. And it's kind of funny because, you know, these anti-gunners, they love saying that conservatives or Republicans, you know, they're not very tolerant people, you know, and that we just want, they love arguing that we don't want everybody to have equal rights. But they're the ones who are advocating for taking people's rights away, like the Second Amendment. Remember, guys, we don't want everybody to have their rights, but they're also the ones who are saying that if you don't call somebody by their preferred pronoun, you might get jailed. But remember, we're the bad guys. We're the ones who, you know, have no sense of, you know, empathy or sympathy for people. We don't want anybody else to have equal rights. We're the ones who are like that. The hypocrisy is absolutely insane. The hypocrisy is unmatched with anti-gunners. There is no, you know, there is no doing any, there is no higher level of hypocrite than an anti-gunner. There is never a justification for taking one's right to self-defense away, because let's ignore the fact that this isn't a right that was, you know, when it was written on the Constitution, oh yeah, I think we should make that be the case. You know, that should be a right. It already was a right prior to the Constitution. There's this thing called a natural right. The natural right to self-preservation is one of those rights. And guess what? Guess what's included with preserving one's life? more likely than not, especially if you're like us and you have thumbs, you use tools because you can grab things much easier. You use tools. What's the best tool for defending yourself? Bless you. It is a firearm. It is not a knife. It is not a rock. It is not a spear. It is not a sword. It is a firearm. So guess what? Since I have this natural right to self-preservation, why would I not use the best tool for it? So your argument, your argument already just against somebody's rights doesn't add up. Considering these aren't rights that were created when it was just written down. That wasn't how it was. The right to self-preservation was already there. Now, I will say the Second Amendment right was not originally written for self-defense. It was, fighting off a tyrannical government, foreign or domestic. However, it did get expanded to self-defense. So what are we talking about here? There's no justification for me taking, I guess, your ability to say all the stupid stuff that you anti-gunners say. There's no justification for me taking that right away from you guys, just like there's no justification for you guys trying to take my Second Amendment right away from me. And while I might sit here and make fun of everything you guys say, I will also be the person to say, it's your right to say it. It's your right to make yourself look like a whole fool. And it is my right to also sit here, bear arms, and it's also my right to sit here and make fun of y'all on the internet. So in the end, if you guys are going to try to justify taking the Second Amendment right away, other than our morality and the fact that we have this sense of, okay, taking somebody's rights away is wrong, I guess that falls under morality as well. But because we essentially have that level of morality, other than that level of morality stopping us, what is to stop us from saying that you guys can't exercise your First Amendment right? Tell me. Because y'all say some dumb stuff. I ain't even gonna lie. Some of the dumbest things I've ever heard were from anti-gunners. So what if we're sitting here trying to make justifications for, taking rights away, then I can think of a good few justifications to take every anti-gunner's First Amendment right away. I can think of a good few justifications. You know why we don't make that argument, though? Because we have a sense of morality and we understand that there are rights that should never be taken from a human being. And we're not going to sit here and advocate for taking those rights, much as you anti-gunners have done. So in the end, beyond the fact that there is no actual justification for taking one's rights away, even if it would prevent just one shooting, as these anti-gunners say, it would prevent so many more self-defense situations that the lives saved from that one shooting would have been negated, and well beyond negated. But overall, it's just a level of hypocrisy. It's such a huge level of hypocrisy to hear these anti-gunners say that we need to take our, they need to take our Second Amendment right away, and the Second Amendment, you don't need that. Making the argument that gun control preventing just one shooting makes it worth it when there is no justification for taking somebody's rights away, whether we're talking a moral justification, whether we are talking, I guess, a legal justification as well. There's no form of justification for taking somebody's rights away. Now, since we've gotten that out the way, we've gotten the fact that, even if you did do it, it's not going to do anything in all reality. I think that about wraps it up for this video. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And whether or not you agree with me on this, I mean, truth be told, I really don't care if you agree with me on this. I have done the research. I can tell you right now that there are more self-defense situations happening than there are, I guess you could say, mass shootings. But I know that in the end, this is the funniest part about it. These anti-gunners, they love bringing up mass shootings, but they also don't count for the fact that mass shootings are like less than 10% of gun crime. But regardless, all right, in the end, whether or not you agree with me, make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.